Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and please subscribe and like. It's completely free. If you want to see more content like this, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And also, I just want to say thank you to all my members, everyone who contributes to my channel in whatever way. Thank you. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to look at 5 family annihilators, some of which you may have heard of. Well, one definitely you'll have heard of, and some of which maybe you have not heard of. Now, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of these cases, literally just, the main facts. And then what I'd like you to do in comments is let me know which one you would like me to do a deep dive on. Because I was looking at these cases, and of course they all deserve, all the victims deserve to be talked about properly, to be gone into detail and to be remembered. So, but of course, there's 5 just here. Unfortunately, there are a lot of others as well out there, but I've chosen 5. I feel like some of these you may have heard of, some, one in particular you definitely will have heard of, and the others I think maybe you won't have heard of. And there's the stories of those victims need to be told also. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at these 5 very briefly, at these 5 family annihilators and their poor victims, their families. How can you do? It's. I think obviously, murder is something that most of us can't comprehend, but especially we can't comprehend how somebody could do that to their loved ones, and even more especially how they could do it to their children. We cannot comprehend that, but they do. They do. And you know what? There's a lot more cases than you think, because when I started looking into this, I was actually struggling how, which cases to choose. So I decided to do 5 in this video, to give you 5 choices of which one you want me to do a deep dive into. But there's more to, there's more to come. And in a further video further along the line, I suppose I will probably ask you for another 5 to choose, or maybe you want me to do a deep dive on all of them. Anyway, the first one we're going to look at, you may have heard of this one. This is Anthony or Tony Todd, the Todd family murders. So let me just put up the, there's a little picture here at the moment in the corner, but in a moment when I'm talking about it, I'm going to put a bigger, the same picture up, but so you can see it, because this was they're all terrible, aren't they? But this was particularly terrible. This happened as well in Florida, and it happened on a complex designed by Disney. So here we have the family. This is Todd at his trial. Todd seemed to have some sort of mental breakdown, but of course, well, you'd have to have quite a mental breakdown to kill your whole family, wouldn't you? Here's a picture in happier times. So let me let you know about his victims. So that was his wife, Megan, 42 years old. His 3 children, all of those 3 children he killed. Alec, who was 13, Tyler, 11, Zoe, 4 years old. And I think what especially struck, and the dog, by the way, he also killed the dog. So he killed everybody except himself that's in that photo. And when I've watched things about this case, what always struck me is the police chief or one of the policemen that were talking, giving a press conference about this case, actually broke down in tears when he was trying to sort of give the information about the little girl. So now I'm getting upset. So yeah, so he killed the whole family, including the dog. and he was found guilty. Oh, sorry, let me tell you when this is. This was in 2019 in Florida, in celebration, a Disney, especially sort of built Disney group of residences. And he was found guilty, and he has got life imprisonment plus 1 more year for the dog for animal cruelty. And it is good when that is mentioned, because, quite often family annihilators murder the pets and they're not mentioned or brought into it, but they count as well. So what led Todd to do this? Tony to do this. If you want me to do a deep dive on it, let me know in comments. Okay, so the second person we're going to talk about, this again, maybe one that so that was in America. We're going to Australia now for this next case, which is John Miles Sharp. It's just so sad when you see these families together like that. The wife looking so happy. You can see the daughter Gracie is like the apple of her eye. And there's John. He was fed up in his marriage. I think with Tony in the Todd family massacre, I think he had got mental health issues. I don't think this guy's got mental health issues. This guy, he was just fed up of his marriage. So this is John Miles Sharp, and he murdered his she was pregnant, his wife, when he murdered her. Since I started doing true crime, I've realised how many women are murdered when they're pregnant. It's just completely blown me away, to be honest. And the other really awful thing about this is he murdered his wife, Anna Marie Kemp, and also their 20-month-old daughter, Gracie Louise Kemp. And this happened in March 2004 in Melbourne, Victoria. And the most shocking thing of all for me is he murdered them with a spear gun. A spear gun. And I have to say the details of this are quite distressing. But anyway, he's been given 2 life sentences and he has to serve a minimum of 33 years. That doesn't seem like enough, does it? I don't think he'll ever get out. Well, I hope not. But I can't believe that he's even got that option. A minimum of 33 years. Just doesn't seem enough, does it? So anyway, so that is the second case that I just want to tell you about, and you may or may not know about this case, and let me know if you want me to do a deep dive on this case. To remember the victims, that's what all these things are about, is to talk about the victims and to try and understand why people would do these kind of things. It just seems you just cannot get your head around it, can you? So that's John Miles Sharp. Let me just take that away for a moment. So just to remind you that I'm still here. So the next person we're going to look at, or the next case that we're going to look at, again, one that you may not have heard of. I don't think there was probably a lot of attention given to it at the time, but because it didn't result in a trial, this one. So I think also always when they result in a trial, they get more attention, don't they? Because you've got the actual event of somebody annihilating their family, and then the trial comes up and they go through the trial, and that highlights it again. But sometimes I think these things are sort of forgotten because a trial does not happen. So who we're talking? So we're talking about Christian Longo, the Longo family massacre or annihilation. So we're talking about this man, Christian Longo, murdered his wife. This is in Oregon, Newport, Oregon, in 2001. And this twonk, Christian Longo, murdered his wife, Mary Jo, and 3 children. And he murdered Zachary, who was 4, who looks like he thinks the world of him there, Zachary. Zachary was 4 years old, Sadie was 3 years old, and Madison was only 2 years old. And he just disposed of all of them. So, oh no, this is not the one that I was thinking of. He has got the death sentence, or he was given the death sentence, but it was commuted to life without parole. So he's not coming out. He's not coming out, you know, unlike the last one who's got 33-year minimum. This guy's never coming out. And he was given a death sentence, but it was commuted to life in prison. So I hope he's having a bad time in prison. That's all I can say. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, I'll just come back just to show you that I'm still here. So the next person we're going to look at, again, I don't know if you will have heard of this guy. This is the one that I was thinking of that didn't come to a trial. And for this one, we're going to Utah. And this is Michael Heights from Utah. And honestly, when I look at this photo, it's just, look, this just looks like, it's almost like the Sound of Music style photo, isn't it? You know, it's just unbelievable. So Michael murdered his wife, Tausha, who was 40 years old. There's his wife there. He murdered his mother-in-law, her mother, Gail Earl, who was 78 years old. She's not on this picture. And then they had 5 children, and he killed all of them. All those 5 children. God, he'd be spinning in hell. There's got to be a special place in hell, hasn't there, for these kind of people. So he murdered his son, Gavin, who was 4, his twins, Sienna and Aman, who were 7. So that must be these 2 at the front here, boy and a girl. He murdered his wife, Tausha, 40, her mother, his mother-in-law, Gail Earl, who was 78, and 5 children. Gavin, who was 4, Sienna and Ammon Michael, who was 7 and were twins, Briley Ann, who was 12, and Macy Lynn, who was 17. And then there was no justice, if you like, though I'm sure he'd be finding his justice now in the next world, because he then killed himself with a gun. So now there had been issues of domestic violence in this family, but, you know, nothing had been done. But look at that picture. It's like the perfect picture, the perfect family, like the Sound of Music, or The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music. Just shows you can never tell from a photo. So this happened in Utah, and yeah. Okay, so I've got one more to show you. Now this case, I think you definitely will have heard about. It's probably one of the most famous cases of family annihilation. And there's been Netflix documentaries about it. I have done a video about this case, but it was quite a long time ago. When I wasn't, you know, as good technically, if you like. So if you want me to do a deep dive, and it wasn't perhaps a deep dive. So if you want this case to be, me to do a deep dive on this case, let me know. Okay, so this, of course, is the case of Chris Watts and Shannon Watts. Chris was, again, your average guy next door, good old American boy. You know, they had this, look at all their pictures. I think the reason why this case attracted so much attention, you know, obviously it's a shocking case, but so are all the cases. But this case is probably the one that you're most familiar with. I think the reason was because there was so much. Shannon was an avid sort of Instagrammer, Facebook. She uploaded a lot of videos on social media. So there was a lot of videos and photos and things. So I always think when there's a lot of footage, these cases then get more attention for that reason. So this is the Watts family. And of course, this happened in 2018 in Frederick, in Colorado. Chris Watts is the father, and he murdered his pregnant wife, pregnant again, Shannon, 34 years old. So young, I know it doesn't matter how young someone is really, you shouldn't murder anyone, but, she hadn't even, her life, she was in the prime of her life. And then, of course, the little girls, Bella, who was 4 years old, Celeste, only 3 years old, and they thought their daddy was their hero, and you know why he did it? He did it because he was in love with another woman and he wanted to start again. And instead of divorcing, he decided that the best thing to do was annihilate his family. I cannot even imagine. It's thought that maybe he killed Shannon in a fit of rage and then, killed the girls just, because he was worried because they'd seen him. Who knows? Who knows why somebody would do something like this? Chris Watts. This is a hell of a story, as I'm sure you know. But if you want me to do a deep dive on it, I will. And he was found guilty of first-degree murder, 5 life sentences, no parole. Yeah. So there you go. So there's 5 different family annihilators. They've all got things in common. Obviously, what they've all got in common is they're men. And it's not only men who do this, but these are just 5 male ones. I'm going to be doing a lot of these type of videos, where I'm going to present 5 short, stories, if you like, of what happened, and then for you to ask you who you want me to do the deeper dives on. And I'm going to do that a lot, so that I won't only be picking on men. But what they had in common, these particular 5 have in common, is they are all men. They've all killed their wives and their family. Sometimes people kill their wives because they want to start a new life, or husbands for the children so that they can get custody of the children. But these decided they didn't want the children. They just wanted to start a new life, or they just couldn't face their partner having a new life, or, but they weren't wanting to keep the children. They killed the children. I think this is especially, as much as, MURDER, it's always hard to understand, isn't it? But when you do it to your children, I think that is especially hard to understand, impossible to understand what would come into someone's mind to doing that. For me, the worst one out of them, if you had to choose a worst one, they're all terrible, would probably be John Miles Sharp, because the fact that he did it with a spear gun, he tried to cover it up as an accident. But they're all as bad as each other, really. Anyway, if you want me to do a deep dive into any of those cases, please let me know in comments, and that's what I'll do. In the upcoming week, I will make a video with much more information. So I just wanted to give you an overview, give you a choice. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to leave your fingerprint on the like button. Remember to live and love. Oh, and I need to light a candle. So you'll find out, if you're new to my channel, you'll find out I tend to light a candle in every video for the lost and the missing, and also as a mark of respect for the dead, and also for their families who are left behind to cope with what's happened to them. But I just want to make it clear, it's not only for people that are missing in the physical sense. Some of us are lost in ourselves. You know, some of us are lost, trying to struggle our way through life, etc., coping with various things. There's so many problems, you know, life's not easy, is it, sometimes? So the candle, is for you. Anyone who needs it, the candle is for you. It's like, I just wish peace on everyone. And if you're going through something right now, whatever it is, I hope you can just take it one day at a time. That's the only thing you can do, one day at a time. Don't try and look too far forward, because that will frighten you, and don't look behind, because you can't change anything that's happened before. One step at a time, one day at a time. So I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will, until I see you again, may your God always go with you. Bye.